Welcome back, students. Today I'm going to discuss a topic on social change. So let us start with the class. The word change denotes a difference in anything observed over a period of time. Following are some of the definitions. See, when we talk about the social change can evolve from a number of different sources, including contact with other societies or changes in the ecosystem, technological changes. Then we also have the changes in the population growth and other demographic variables. Social change is also spurred by ideological, economic, and political movements. Now let us see some of the definitions. Number one, according to Jones, social change is a term used to describe the variations in or modification of any aspect of social process, social pattern, social interaction, or social organization. A social change is a broad sense. It means a slightly different. When there is something that is different, that is not according to the normal, we call that a social change. It can be a change in the social pattern or social interaction or social organization or the way the society is functioned. Then according to Gillen and Gillen, social changes are variations from the accepted modes of life, whether due to alteration in the geographical conditions, in cultural equipment, composition on the population or ideologies, and whether brought about by diffusion or invention within the group. So social change can vary. It can be the phenomena that cause a distraction from what is the normal is supposed to be. The social change, according to Gillen and Gillen, they said that it can be a change in the cultural equipment. It can be a change in the population or change in the ideas, the ideologies, or change in the invention and the diffusion of the new technology. According to Davis and Max Ever, social change is a change in the relationship. You remember when I was talking about the social organization or the classes of human structure. So the social change also involve a relationship in the human structure. When we talk about the social change, we doesn't imply only to a change in the materialistic thing, but we also consider the change in the non-materialistic thing. So changes or social changes is a broad concept which imply all the changes in the society. We can come into conclusion that social change involves the alteration of the social order of the society. It may include changes in the social behavior, social relationship, or social institution or social organization. Now let us move on to the theories of social change. While studying the theories of social change, one should know the theories regarding the direction of social change and the causes of social change. Number one is the direction of social change. Early sociologists view the culture of primitive people as completely static. Anthropologists now agree that primitive cultures have undergone changes, although at such a low pace as to give the impression of being stationary. In recent years, the social change has proceeded at a very rapid rate. Since World War I, numerous countries have passed through profound changes not only in the political institutions but in the class structure, their economic system, the modes of living, etc. Various theories have been advanced to explain the direction of social change. Each of them is described as under. So when we talk about the theory, it is a contemplative and a rational type of abstract or generalizing thinking about the phenomena of the result of such thinking. So the process of the contemplative and the rational thinking often is associated with such process like observational study, research, etc. So now let us see about the direction of social change. Number one is we have the theory of deterioration. Some thinkers have identified the social change with deterioration. According to them, man originally lived in a perfect state of happiness in the Golden Age. In the Golden Age, man was living perfectly. Subsequently, however, deterioration began to take place, with the result man has reached the degeneration. That is why the modern age is called as the age of the Kali Yuga, wherein man is false, dishonest, selfish, and consequently unhappy. This concept is understandable since we observe deterioration in every walk of life today. So, in the theory of deterioration, the thinkers have identified that the social change can cause because of the changes that can alter in the life of the human being. When we see in the olden days, the men were honest, they were sincere, they were not selfish, and they were happy. But if we compare with the modern age, the Kali Yuga, or the age of the Kali Yuga, like it's mentioned here, the thinker said that man is false, he is dishonest, he is selfish, and consequently unhappy. So this is where it changes or it alters the society. Number two we have here is the cyclic theory. So some of the sociologists believe that society has a predetermined life cycle and has birth, growth, maturity, and decline. Modern society is the last stage. It is in its old age. Then the history repeats itself. Society, after passing all stages, returns to the original stage, where the cycle again begins. According to this present, Kali Yuga will be over, and after that, Satyug will again start, which is the best again, in which man will be honest, truthful, and perfectly happy. So the sociologist has proposed another theory called as a cyclic theory. In this theory, they said that at some point of time, the Kali Yuga age, or the age where the man is false, not sincere, not honest, and consequently he is unhappy, it will get over, and the Satyug will start again, and in that we will see the best is yet to come. That means the man will again become honest, truthful, and perfectly happy. Then the sage theory. Some thinkers subscribe to the stage theory of social change. Okay, this is a stage theory. According to them, the society gradually moves to an even higher state of civilization. Please correct here, it is stage theory, not sage theory. It is stage theory. Some thinkers subscribe to the stage theory of social change. According to them, the society gradually moves to an even higher state of civilization, and that it advances in a linear fashion and in the direction of improvement. In the stage theory, the sociologist said that the society will gradually move to the state of more advanced civilization. Auguste Comte postulates three stages of social change: the theological, the metaphysical, and the positive. Man has passed the first two stages. In the first stage, man believed the supernatural power control and design the world. He then advanced gradually from belief to metaphysical stage, where man tried to explain by restoring to abstraction. Then the third stages. On these stages, the positive stage, man considers searching for ultimate cause and seek the explanatory fact that can be empirically observed. Auguste Comte is the father of sociology. So he proposed the theory, or known as the stage theory. He tried to explain. There are so many sociologists who also contribute to the stage theory, but we are focusing on the stage theory given or postulated by Auguste Comte. He said that there are three stages of the social change: the theological, metaphysical, and the positive. Man has passed through each and every stage, and now the stage that man is having is the stage where it is called as a positive stage. So what is a positive stage? A man considers searching for ultimate causes, to explain what is going on, to explain the fact, to explain what is he has been observing in the nature. And also, if we see that in the stage theory, the thinker said that there will be a point of time where the man will be more advanced to what we are now. Just take an example. Now we are in the stage where we are so advanced with technology. But according to this theory, they said that there will be again more advanced form of human civilization. That means who knows, in the future we might not even just live in the earth, but we will travel to Mars, or we will live in other planets. So the stage theory suggested that. And remember, when we talk about the theories, they are simply the postulates or the abstract of the generalized thinking about the phenomena or the result of such thinking. Sometimes the theories can be proved, accepted or rejected, right? The theories can be true or can be false, but based on the observation, we try to frame a fact based on the observation that we observe from the phenomena or the happening what is going on around us. Now let us see what is the causes of social change. It has briefed about the direction in which the social change has taken place, but none of the above theories strikes the central question of causation of change. Among the causal theories change, the deterministic theory is the most popular. According to this theory, there are certain forces, social or natural or both, which bring about a social change. It is not the reason or intellect, but the presence of the certain forces and circumstances which determines the course of social change. Summer and Killer stated that social change is automatically determined by economic factors. Conscious effort has very little effect to change. Social change is essentially unconscious process. Many sociologists held the religion as the chief initiator of social change. According to this theory, it stated that there are some factors that causes the change. They have identified some factors like the economic factor. There might also be other factors like the politics or religion or family, education, science, technology, legal system, and so on. So the deterministic theory simply stated that there is something that causes the social change. But we have to identify the factors. What factors causes the change in the society? Now let us move ahead with the factors of social change. Number one, we have the biological factors. So under the biological factors of social change, we include the plants and animal in the area and the human being themselves. The non-human biological environment affects human, social, and cultural life. Man utilizes the available plant and animal life in way determined by his culture. Thus, the Indian worship snake and holy fig tree. Many a plant are used for medicinal purpose, which has given birth to Indian system of medicine. Like I have mentioned earlier, cow is regarded as sacred among Hindus. Man ward off the bacteria, poisonous plant, insect, pests, and dangerous animal with the best means he has been able to invent. Changes in the geographic conditions such as change in climate, change in social composition, drying up of lakes or stream kill some organism and give birth to others. These changes affect the nature of man's struggle for existence. So the disease producing microorganism present constant new problem of adjustment. The human biological environment includes the factors that determine the members, the composition, the selection, and the hereditary quality of the successive generation. The human element in the society is always changing. Every life is a different distribution of qualities and potentialities. If we compare ourselves with our parents, we will know that we are different from them in our makeup, in ideas, and in most other things. No new generation is an exact replica of the old. Each new generation is a new beginning. So the changes in the population, both in numbers and composition, have a far-reaching effect on the society. In a society where the number of girls is greater than the male children, one will find a different system of courtship, marriage, and family organization from that where the case is reversed. There is one theory which is a theory of natural selection. The principle of natural selection is quite old, but it received a sociological treatment at the hands of Herbert Spencer, who based it on Darwin's theory. According to this theory, there is a struggle for existence going on in nature. In this struggle, only those survive who are the fittest. So Spencer applied this theory to the human society and held that in human society only those beings survive who are the fittest. That is, those who have adjusted themselves to the nature. Those who fail to adjust will be killed by the nature. That is one of the theory which is related to the biological factor. Our next factor we have is the physical factor. The surface of our planet is never at rest. There are slow geographical changes as well as the occasional convulsion of nature in storms, earthquakes, and floods. Besides the seasonal changes, there are sometimes epochal changes which raise and submerge portion of the Earth's surface. These changes in the physical environment sometimes bring about important changes in the society. The floods in India may hasten the birth of the model village in the place of those which have been washed off, or they may lead to the construction of dams in order to prevent future floods. So that is where we see the changes. The great volcanic eruption of Yokohama in 1923 was responsible for the new kind of architecture in Japan, while London may be called a blessing of the great fire that destroyed it. It is contended by some thinkers that the great civilization of Egypt and Mesopotamia withered away because their ideal climate that nature these civilization began to deteriorate. So the leaders of the geographical school insist that only physical environment is alone responsible for the growth of the human society. So these factors, that is the physical factors like earthquake or storms or flood, leads to the social change. Then we have the other change, that is the technological factors. The factors that causes the changes in the society is a technology. Through the technology, in the technology it affects the society very greatly because the introduction of the machine technology as a result of the discovery of the new sources of energy has had such far-reaching consequences that is often described as a revolution. Invention and discovery are significant characteristics of our age. The present age is often called as the age of power or the scientific age. It has been well said that most novel and pervasive phenomenon of our age is not capitalism but mechanization, which modern capitalism may be merely a byproduct. So the mechanization has changed not only the economic structure of the society but also had led to the steady devaluation of all forms of social organization and all ideologies. According to Osborne says that technology changes society by changing the environment in which we are turned into adapt. This change is usually in the material environment, and the adjustment we make with changes often modifies the custom and the social institution. Now let us see the technological factors. The technological factors, number one is changes in the production technologies. Our attitude, belief, and traditions have crumbled before the technological advance. The spirit of craftsmanship, the divine ordering of the social classes, tradition regarding the spheres of the prestige of birth or of have felt the shock of mechanization. Take a familiar example of the status of women in the industrial age. Industrialism has destroyed the domestic system of production, brought women from the home to the factory and the office, and distinguished their earnings. It has meant a new social life for women. The invention of gunpowder changed the very techniques of war. Standardization of goods, an evident consequence of the modern technology, has made possible not only the cheap production of goods but highly organized, efficient mass distribution of goods. If you see, the textile plant has brought about organization of labor and a complicated system of production and distribution. Then a large body of men such as engineers, bookkeepers, buyers of raw materials, and sellers of the finished product, not actually engaged in doing the production work, grew. Changes in production and trade pose a new problem of the political regulation. The functions of the law expand. The number of the lawmakers or bureaucrats to apply the law of the lawyers to interpret the laws increase. So the changes in the production technology simply means that there is a change in the society when it comes to the invention and also the innovation or the technological advancement of science. The application of science to industries, agriculture, and health, they give rise to a host of new service activities. Then we have the changes in the means of communication. Not only that the techniques by which the member of the society produce the necessities of life have changed, Affecting changes in the social relationship, the changes in the means of communication have also affected our social life greatly. Changes in the techniques by which modern communication devices are produced have the same social implication as do the changes in the production technology. Remember, these are the process that causes the social change. When we are talking about the social change, we talk about the changes in the social structure and function of the society. So the communication, the means of communication, the basic function of all communication device is to give the conquest of time and space. The technique of communication is limit the scope and to considerably extend the character of the organization that man can develop. Communication is an important factor. Why? Because it determines our social life. Its techniques definitely limit the kind of organized life that a people can have. So when we see that there is a change through the means of communication, we will come to the conclusion that yes, our society have changed because there is a change in the means of communication. People in the olden days doesn't have the opportunities like we have today. They doesn't know what happened in the other parts of the world, but now whatever is happened in the other side of the world, we can always see there is a life happening, right? In YouTube, in Facebook and other social media platform. There is always the news that happen through the invention of the radio, telegraph, telephone. This has created a public opinion, and people can communicate. People can talk to each other. But in the olden days, people doesn't have the science and technology that we have now. The invention of the radio or telephone, mobile phone that we have now has made our communication much easier. That is how we come to know that there is a change in our society. Then changes in the means of transportation. Next is we have the changes in the means of transportation. The changes in the modes of the transportation have variously affected our social relationship. Transportation is the physical conquest of space. The methods and means of transportation determine how easily men can move themselves and how easily they can meet people of other places or other societies to exchange goods or ideas. The importance of transportation in modern social life can hardly be stressed. People are so into the modern means of transportation that whatever they are doing, they depend on the wheel. That's why it is said here that a modern man lives so much on the wheel. If the wheel is stopped for a single day, the life of the modern society will be put out of gears. The life of the person is like it stopped when we cannot use our car, when we cannot use our bike, when we cannot use any other means of transportation, because we have depend so much on the transportation. So this is the another factor. Next we have is the derivative social effects. Invention influence the institution or custom. It may also be noted that when an invention has influence on some institution or custom, the influence does not stop, okay, but continues to go on and on. Just see the influence of the cotton gin in United States was to increase the planting of cotton, since it could be processed more quickly and with less labor. But cotton production could not be increased without more labor, so additional people from outside were brought, okay, and the increase in the slavery was the second derivative influence of the cotton gin in United States. The increase in slavery led to the Civil War, the third derivative influence of the cotton gin. However, there is an explanation according to Ogburn that the addition of the gin should not be regarded as the sole cause of the slavery system and Civil War, which were caused by many other factors. Therefore, to get a correct picture of the influence of the invention, it should be noted that the given invention is only one of the several factors producing a particular result, and similarly, the primary result of an invention is itself one of the many factors producing the secondary derivative influence. It is common knowledge that the social phenomena is almost never produced by one factor alone. So there are so many factors that cause the social effect. Next we have is the social invention may brings about the social change. The technological invention may also give rise to the social invention. Social inventions are the inventions that are not materials but are not a discovery in natural science. For example, like the non-cooperation movement, boycott, representation, old age pension, juvenile court, civil service, matrimonial bureau, Rotary, and other such clubs are some of the examples of the social invention. So non-material invention are social invention. This social invention brings about a social changes. It is quite evident. When we see the social inventions, these are merely the changes that happened within. You cannot call them as a materialistic. It simply means the action that you see that the people are doing. If you see there is a change, okay. For example, now there in your place, you when you were young, okay, you never see that there is a nuclear family. People will always live in a joint family. But then when you grew up at this stage, at the present, you will come to know there are a lot of nuclear family. There is a disintegration of the joint family system. So in that way you can say that the people action depict of what has been caused a change in the society. If you will see the boycott, okay, or the non-cooperation movement, or you can say, let's take an example of love marriage or intercaste marriage or late marriage. These have been affected by our technology, right? In some way or the other, it has influenced us. And then the increase of the number of divorces. If you see in the modern society, there are an increased number of divorces as compared to the golden age or the period where we see in the olden days that the people are not so much into the divorce system. So if you see such type of things, then you will come to know that the social invention has bring a social change in the society. Then the cultural factors. We have next is the cultural factors. So the cultural factors is that the social and cultural factors are so closely interwoven. All cultural changes involve social change. Culture is not something static. Culture gives direction to social behavior. If you will see what has happened to our culture. When we talk about culture, we talk both the material and the non-materialistic thing. I hope you are aware of that. So if you see that there has been an alteration in the culture, okay, people, I will just remind you once again, in culture we have the different types of factors, right? Or we didn't have the, not factors, I will say that there are different types of elements in culture. We have studied the taboos, then the mores, the folk ways, okay, all these form our culture. So when we see that there has been a change, okay, a change in our way of behaving, way of speaking, way of eating, way of dressing, all right, all these post a change in the society, then we can come to the conclusion that says that we have already changed. The social factor has changes or make the changes in the society. Okay, so before that, I will also like to remind you about the term cultural lag. What is a cultural lag? The cultural lag is a distinguish between a material and a non-material culture. It was explained by Ogburn. Okay, I have mentioned in the earlier class that cultural lag was explained by Ogburn. So when Ogburn was explaining, he said that there is a difference in the material and the non-material culture. Material culture means that the things like tools, utensils, machines, okay, the goods, something that you can touch, something that you can see. And the non-material aspect will include the family, the religion, the government, and education. So when changes occur in the material aspect, Those in turn stimulate changes in the non-material aspect. So when there is a change in the material aspect, it might be through technology invention, it might be through other social factor, but it will stimulate the changes in the non-material aspect of the culture. So this has been explained that the time period, or there is a lag, okay, a lag in the diffusion of the culture, okay, a cultural lag. There is a lag in the material and the non-material culture, and the term used for that is called as a cultural lag. Alright, so when there is a difference, okay, there is a lag between non-material and material culture, that has been called as a cultural lag. Now in the social changes, we have this cultural factor that causes the social change. When there is a rise in the technology, people become more advanced, okay. Now they will start to take their ideologies regarding their culture. Instead of following their culture, now they will start questioning their culture, right? When people are too much into the modern and scientific inventions and technologies and ideas, instead of accepting their beliefs, that the culture that they follows, now they start questioning their culture. So in that way, your culture will be affected, and in turn will also affect your society. Okay, next we have is the measures of social change. Okay, please change here. It is a measure of social change, not social chance, it is social change. So these are the following indicators of the social change: nutrition, calories consumed per head, protein consumption quantity, etc., clothing, quality and quantity of the clothes used per head, house, number of house for the population, then the health, number of hospitals, bed, nurses and doctors available per thousand population, then education, percentage of children going to school, literacy level, women literacy level, technical education facilities available at school and colleges, etc., media exposure, number of radio set, TV, cinema seat, newspaper, etc., per 10,000 population. Then communication, the length of the railway, okay, blacktop road and transport, number of vehicle, etc., for 10,000 population, and number of post office and maximum distance for the population to walk to the post office. Then energy, percentage of village and town with electricity, domestic consumption of electricity, number of pump set in cultivation, etc. Then proportion of industrial workers, birth and death. Decreased trend in both the birth and death is a good indicator of the rate society development. Urbanization, proportion of the population living in the urban area, proportion of the population living in slum, etc. So these are all the indicators of the social change. You can identify the social change based on these mentioned indicators. If you see that, if you count the number of hospitals nearby your place in the olden days and now, you will see that there are so many hospitals now as compared to the olden days. So that is where you can say that there is a social change. Then if you see the communication, the length of the railways, or the type of road or the vehicle, okay, etc., for the 10,000 population, a number of post office and maximum distance for the population to walk to the post office, etc., all these, if you see all these, that has changed. It will not be the same, right, in the society. If you just consider yourself when you were young, like I've said, if you are in the village now that you have grown up, you will see that there will be a good road to your village. So in such a way, you can say that there has been a social change in the society. I hope you are all clear with the concept of social change. If you have any problems or doubts, leave your comments in the comment box, ask your question, and I will clear all your doubts. I will see you in the next class.